We are going to paraphrase the article on reducing food waste. Let's begin. Imagine going to the market, purchasing 3 bags full of groceries, and returning home. Before entering your house, you discard one of the bags in the trash. What a waste!
This sentence means think about going to the store, buying 3 bags of groceries, and heading home. But before you even step inside, you throw one of those bags straight into the trash. That's a huge waste.
Collectively, that is exactly what we are doing today. Globally, 30 to 40% of food intended for human consumption is not eaten.
This sentence means on a global scale. This is exactly what's happening. Between 30% and 40% of food meant for people never actually gets eaten.
Given that more than 800 million people go hungry every day, the scale of food loss fills many of us with a deep sense of anguish.
This sentence means, meanwhile, over 800 million people suffer from hunger daily, making the amount of wasted food even more troubling. In other words, more than 800 million people are hungry every day. So wasting food is very sad.
If population growth and economic development continue at their current pace, the world will have to produce 53 million more metric tons of food annually by 2050.
This sentence means if the world's population and economy keep growing at the current rate, we'll need to produce an extra 53 million metric tons of food every year by 2050.
That increase would require converting another 442 million hectares of forests and grassland far greater than the size of India into farmland over the next 30 years.
This sentence means to meet this demand, we would need to turn 442 million hectares of forests and grasslands, an area larger than India, into farmland over the next 3 decades.
The escalation would also release the equivalent of an additional 80 billion tons of carbon dioxide over the next 30 years, about 15 times the emissions of the entire U.S. economy in 2019.
This sentence means this expansion would also generate around 80 billion extra tons of carbon dioxide, within 30 years roughly 15 times the emissions the United States produced in 2019. Simply put, 15 times the emissions the USA produced in 2019 means 15 times more than what the US made in 2019.
Food waste already accounts for roughly 8% of the world's greenhouse gases.
This sentence means right now, wasted food is responsible for about 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions.
There is another path, however. Our group at Project Drawdown, an international research and communications organization, completed an exhaustive study of existing technologies and practices that can significantly reduce greenhouse gas levels in the atmosphere while ushering in a more regenerative society and economy.
This sentence means, but there's a better way. Researchers at Project Drawdown studied current technologies and strategies that could cut greenhouse gas emissions while promoting a more sustainable economy and society. In other words, scientists at Project Drawdown studied today's technology and methods that can lower greenhouse gases and help create a healthier economy and society.
Basic adjustments in how food is produced and consumed could help feed the entire world a healthy, nutrient-rich diet through 2050 and beyond without clearing, planting, or grazing more land than is used today.
This sentence means simple changes in how we grow and use food could provide nutritious meals for the entire global population through 2050 without needing more farmland.
Providing more food by eliminating waste, along with better ways of producing that food, would avoid deforestation and also save an enormous amount of energy, water, fertilizer, labor, and other resources.
This sentence means cutting food waste and improving production methods wouldn't just create more food, it would also prevent deforestation and conserve massive amounts of energy, water, fertilizer, labor, and other valuable resources.
Revamping the food chain and adjusting habits will not happen overnight.
This sentence means reforming the food system and changing people's habits will take time.
Our most fundamental task is to be conscientious about the choices we make to try to be solutionists as much as we can.
This sentence means the most important step we can take is to be mindful of our choices and actively seek solutions.
Together, we can save that third bag of groceries.
This sentence means if we all make an effort, we can stop wasting that extra bag of food. Now, complete the sentences with a word, number, or short phrase.
Do the exercises. We will check the answers in class. And here you have some discussion questions. Please prepare your answers. Don't forget to support your answers using discourse markers and recent vocabulary and recent grammar structures. In this part, you have a listening. I will play the audio track. Listen and answer the questions.
This is Scientific American's 60-Second Science. I'm Christopher Intagliata. When restaurants first shut down early in the pandemic, Americans raided grocery stores. They started cooking more at home and presumably generating more leftovers. Those leftovers can be a convenient future meal, but they've also got a dark side.
There's a tendency that if you put an item on the plate that's a leftover, there's a higher probability that you're not going to fully consume that item, and so it's probably going to go to waste.
Brian Rowe, an applied economist at The Ohio State University. He and his colleagues recently studied leftovers and food waste by tracking the eating habits of 18 men and women in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The participants tracked what they ate using an iPhone app, and during the week-long study, the study subjects collectively piled 1,200 different foods on their plates. After analyzing what got eaten, saved, or thrown away, the researchers found that leftovers were more likely to be picked at and not fully eaten, which is a finding we can all probably identify with. But they also observed that leftovers, perhaps due to being older and less fresh, directed diners' attention to the other, more novel items on their plate, which brings up an interesting possible strategy to get people to eat their veggies.
Yeah, I guess if you have an item that you don't normally eat as much of and you're trying to get people to eat their peas, perhaps surrounding it with leftovers is a way to make them focus on the newest item on the plate.
The findings are in the journal PLOS One. Overall, Rose says one bigger lesson emerged on how to avoid scraping perfectly good food into the trash.
So for us, the real take-home here was choose a smaller meal and you're less likely to generate leftovers. And that's a good thing because leftovers, all else equal, tend to be wasted more often.
Not that Rowe doesn't have a few aspirational Tupperware sitting around.
I'm guilty of this as well. We have stuff left over from last Thanksgiving sitting around in our freezer. And I know people who have moved with frozen items before, never getting around to actually eating them. Yeah.
Thanks for listening. For Scientific American's 60-Second Science, I'm Christopher Intagliata.
Okay, now answer these questions. You have some discussion questions based on the audio as well. Don't forget to prepare your answers with examples and support your answers. And the last exercise is a summary. So you should summarize the points made in the reading and explain how the listening supports it. Thank you so much. See you next time.